After Gene Hackman's passing, the unsolved questions surrounding his passing shook Hollywood and drove a wedge between his own family. Gene Hackman, a living legend, deserved a proper send-off, complete with eulogies and respectful coverage in the media. The truth, however, was very different. It was far from a tranquil funeral when he and Betsy Arakawa were discovered in their peaceful Santa Fe home. Tragic news: a maintenance worker discovered the bodies of actor Gene Hackman, his wife Betsy Arakawa, and their dog in their New Mexico home this week. There are pills all over the floor and an open bottle of pills on the table. The family's cherished dog was discovered lifeless in a closet, close to Betsy's corpse. On the night of his death, Hackman's pacemaker displayed abnormal activity. In reality, what transpired? Is it an accident? An undisclosed plot? Perhaps something even more sinister? Another conflict has subtly started, and the general population still does not have any answers. An argument about his $80 million fortune. In this fight, there is no place for sadness. No answers, just resentment, suspicion, and more questions. Although he was the father of three, Gene Hackman never really connected with his family. Although he was a Hollywood icon, his family saw him as a mysterious figure, a father figure they could never fully understand. Betsy, his wife, who was widely thought to have complete control over the family finances, has also disappeared. Nobody has yet provided solutions to the most pressing issues. Who, exactly, has legal authority over his bequest? Had everything been rigged a long time ago, or did Hackman truly leave anything to his children? For how many years have these mysteries been kept hidden? Gene Hackman's life is more than a Hollywood blockbuster. An unfinished Hollywood script, it tells a gloomy story of a family split apart by the demons of the past and a web of intrigue and treachery. Actor Gene Hackman was widely considered to be among Hollywood's all-time greats, and he was famous for his tough, commanding roles. Still, Hackman lost all of his legendary status the moment the spotlights went out and the cameras rolled. Even with his closest friends and family, he transformed into an emotionally distant and icy man. In his 95 years on this planet, Hackman was married twice. The first was to Faye Maltese. Leslie, Elizabeth, and Christopher were his children. Hackman was legally their father, but he was never really there for them. The relentless filming schedules, interminable travel, and years of luxuriating in Hollywood's glory engulfed Gene Hackman at all times. Even though everyone else looked up to him, he was never there for his children, who grew up in relative obscurity. His career was his first priority, as an acquaintance of his once disclosed. In the background, there was always family. No family dinners, bike lessons, or even a goodnight hug were in Christopher, Elizabeth, or Leslie's recollections of their dad. Their father figure was non-existent. A Hollywood legend whom people all over the globe adored was theirs. The Hackman-Maltese divorce was finalized in 1986 following a 30-year marriage. However, the divorce was not the tragic part. That was the moment Hackman vanished from his children's lives forever. The frequency of phone calls decreased. Events became less common. Even his own family stopped knowing Hackman as time went on. Leslie, Christopher, and Elizabeth adapted to life without their dad. They had no idea that Hackman would start a whole new chapter in his life not long after bidding farewell to his old family. Alongside another female. Hackman wed pianist Betsy Arakawa, who was 31 years his junior, in 1991. After that, there was no turning back for Hackman and his estranged family. His wife Betsy was more than that. She had complete command of his environment. When calls came in, she handled them. Nobody could get in touch with Hackman, not even his closest friends. His money was in her hands. She was the go-to person for all real estate transactions. She exerted complete control over his interpersonal relationships. Someone I've known for a long time told me that every time I tried to call Gene, Betsy would answer instead. All of his calls were handled by her. The opportunity to speak with Gene would not present itself if Betsy did not want you to. Whether this was Hackman's decision was unknown. One thing, though, was assured. Hackman cut off contact with his three children the moment Betsy entered his life. He no longer considered them an element of his reality. None of the rare letters he penned ever made it out. There was a problem with the incoming calls. Even Gene Hackman, who had been an aloof father before, turned into an intractable mystery. "I know I was never the father you wanted me to be, but you have to understand," Hackman wrote to his oldest son Christopher in 1995 while sitting in his Santa Fe log cabin. "Not even my own family could ever claim me as their own." But he kept that letter in his drawer the whole time. He continued to write letters to Elizabeth and Leslie in the years that followed, though not a single one ever reached any of their hands. Throughout his life, Hackman avoided his family at all costs. Finally, though, did he ever feel remorse for it? A legend, not a father, was his true calling, and he had finally come to terms with it. What if his children were to find those letters after his death? Would they be interested in reading them? Betsy never received any public criticism from Hackman's children, but they were clearly unhappy with the way she managed their father's life. Many disturbing questions arise from this. Was Betsy's influence the main reason Hackman wanted to be apart from his children, or did he genuinely want it? Was he serious about leaving them his wealth, or had his second wife already taken charge? Perhaps the answers can be found in the many changes that Hackman made to his will during his last years. The last version of Gene Hackman's will remains one of the biggest mysteries since his death. He made several changes to it over the years, but nobody can say for sure what happened to his $80 million fortune. Were Hackman's children left any money by him? Or did Betsy get the whole thing? Even more crucially, what would happen to his wealth if Betsy, who was his principal beneficiary, also died? What if Hackman hadn't revised his will to account for the likelihood of a simultaneous death of both spouses? His estate could end up in the middle of a protracted legal dispute over inheritance rules. Who could legitimately lay claim to it? Would his kids be willing to harm themselves to protect what they think is rightfully theirs? Or would an unforeseen player show up in the struggle for his wealth? On top of that, Betsy's mom is around, but she has dementia. If Hackman did not make a provision for Betsy's future, her mother could be named as the legal heir by law. The Hackmans and Betsy's family could get into a heated argument over this. The conclusion that is at the heart of a legal dispute that may continue for years is the result of all this evidence. Have his 3 children been completely disregarded in his will, or will they be able to recover what is rightfully theirs? And the most crucial question is, who will actually get Hackman's wealth if the will is not legally executable? No simple solutions will be found. A legal battle, understated but explosive, is about to break out, and it might last longer than any of Gene Hackman's renowned films. After decades of hard work in the arts, Gene Hackman amassed a huge fortune that could reach $80 million, even though he had long since retired from film. His fortune stemmed from a wide variety of sources, including film salaries, real estate, royalties from his classic films, book earnings, and undisclosed financial investments. The real estate holdings that Hackman possessed were among the most astounding components of his wealth. He made the conscious decision to spend his twilight years away from Hollywood, and the expansive and serene estate he shared with his wife Betsy Arakawa in Santa Fe, New Mexico, provided the ideal setting for more than 3 decades of their lives there. Situated on an expansive plot of land, the southwestern-style mansion is now believed to be worth more than $10 million. Several valuable properties were owned by Hackman before he settled in Santa Fe. After divorcing Faye Maltese in 1985, he sold their 25-acre estate in Montecito, California. It was worth about $5.5 million back then. The value, however, has surpassed $25 million due to the real estate market's incessant ascent. Among the United States' most costly regions, its price skyrocketed to an incredible $79 million when it was subsequently put on the market. But Hackman's fortune was not limited to property. His enormous earnings from the film industry persisted even after he retired from acting in 2004. Annual royalties in the millions of dollars are generated by timeless classics like Superman, The French Connection, Unforgiven, and The Royal Tenenbaums. Revenue from DVD releases, streaming platforms, and international television syndication ensures that Hackman's name will remain relevant for the foreseeable future. His investments outside of show business, however, added intrigue to Hackman's wealth. His reputation extended beyond that of an actor to that of a cunning financier. He was the manager of obscure financial portfolios and a shareholder in large investment funds. Beyond that, Hackman maintained offshore accounts in Singapore, the Cayman Islands, and Switzerland, all of which are considered financial havens. Even his closest associates were in the dark about the web of shell companies he used to conceal his financial dealings. Still, the most astounding finding wasn't even that. Everyone was taken aback by one specific file. A deed forming the GH Legacy Fund, a clandestine trust fund that Hackman had established in 1993, immediately following his second Academy Award victory. No one knows why this fund exists, but there is one thing that is certain. No one from Hackman's immediate family was named as a beneficiary. Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie, not a single one. An important question is thus raised. Who else could Hackman have trusted, besides his own family? It appeared like Hackman was a man who kept his innermost secrets hidden beneath his Hollywood legend exterior. He did not explain why he established the GH Legacy Fund or why he purposefully kept his family out of it. Without a doubt, though, this was no run-of-the-mill investment trust. It was an intricate financial scheme that not even his closest associates could decipher. The intricacy of Hackman's wealth was a testament to his tremendous good fortune and the degree to which he governed his life right up until the end. It was a mistake to assume that Hackman was just an exceptional actor. Even after he passed away, he was a man who didn't leave anything to chance. Undoubtedly, attorneys are becoming involved at this very moment. If it is determined by the court that his will must be administered in accordance with the general laws governing inheritance. Because of this, he risks having his fortune taken over by someone other than the children he had cut ties with. There are more questions than answers right now. Can Hackman's 3 kids get back what's rightfully theirs, or will they have to see their dad's entire estate go to complete strangers? Like a Hollywood screenplay, this legal dispute may go on for years with many unsolved questions. Not only did Gene Hackman leave behind a contentious life, but his iconic performances also cemented his place in cinematic history. He had a stellar reputation as a Hollywood actor before he became embroiled in a will and inheritance battle. The story of a man who overcame adversity to become a Hollywood A-lister. But it was no picnic for Hackman on his way to greatness. No one could have predicted that a young man who was kicked out of high school and joined the military at 16 would grow up to be a Hollywood superstar. Hackman had an unstable upbringing despite being born in San Bernardino, California in 1930. His father abandoned the family when he was 13 years old, leaving his mother to bear the brunt of their financial struggles. Hackman developed a strong sense of independence and profound unease as a result of growing up without a full family. Leaving school at the age of 16, he enlisted in the Marine Corps and served for more than 4 years, mostly as a field radio operator. There he initially felt a deep affinity for the performing arts and media. Hackman attended the University of Illinois after his discharge from the military with the intention of majoring in television production and journalism. He did not remain in academia for long, though. After a short while, he left for Los Angeles and began taking acting classes at the Pasadena Playhouse. Dustin Hoffman, another aspiring actor, and Hackman crossed paths there. They were both said to be completely out of their league. Furthermore, one of Hackman's teachers told him he would never make it as an actor. However, Hackman did not give up, rather, he used the criticisms as fuel to prove his critics wrong. He played small parts in his early years on the job. In his pursuit of financial stability, he dabbled in a number of odd jobs, including security guarding, truck driving, and shoe sales. His dream, though, remained unfulfilled. In 1964, he had his breakthrough role opposite Warren Beatty in Lilith, directed by Robert Rossen. Beatty, who would go on to play an important role in Hackman's career, was one of the filmmakers whose interest was piqued by the film. When Beatty put Hackman in touch with Bonnie and Clyde director Arthur Penn in 1967, a huge opportunity presented itself. Though Hackman wasn't originally cast as Buck Barrow, his intense and honest performance was a major factor in the film's box office success. His breakout role in the film industry, for which he received his first Oscar nomination, was in this role. Hackman garnered more substantial roles soon after Bonnie and Clyde. But it was in 1971, playing Jimmy Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, that he truly broke through. This part solidified Hackman's position as one of Hollywood's leading men and earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor. A relentless and crafty police officer was thrilling. Once the picture became a smash hit, Hackman went from being a supporting actor to the center of attention. With memorable turns in films like The Conversation, 1974, Superman, 1978, Hoosiers, 1986, and Mississippi Burning, 1988, Hackman maintained his dominance of the silver screen well into the 1980s. From the menacing genius of Lex Luthor in Superman to the motivating basketball coach in Hoosiers to the dogged FBI agent in Mississippi Burning, each part brought out a different aspect of his acting talent. Hackman, however, was not limited to playing just one kind of role. He could play both villains and multi-layered characters with ease. His acting chops were second to none. In 1992, he won his second Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven, playing the role of the merciless sheriff Little Bill Daggett. This performance further cemented his versatility. Hackman was still a household name in Hollywood in the early 2000s. His subsequent feature films, including 2001's The Royal Tenenbaums, Runaway Bride, and though Hackman was at the pinnacle of his career in 2004, he made a shocking announcement. As an actor, he was stepping down. Many were taken aback by the decision because he remained one of the most marketable stars in the industry. Hackman, however, went in a different direction. He decided he needed more time for himself and his writing, so he left Hollywood. Over the years that followed, he released a slew of novels that showcased a different side of his imagination, including historical fiction and thrillers. Fans still held Hackman in high esteem even after he stopped making public appearances on screen. He was more than an actor, he personified the qualities of tenacity, strength, and unwavering resolve. Still, Hackman's death was shrouded in mystery and controversy, no matter how much he tried to live a reclusive life. The specifics of his bequest began to emerge. Still unresolved was one query. Was he in complete control of his destiny up until the end, or were invisible forces influencing events? Gene Hackman's death was as understated and mysterious as his life. He left little to no trace of his passing. It was more than the passing of a Hollywood icon when his Santa Fe home's doors shut following his death. It set the stage for a fierce court struggle. There's more to $80 million than meets the eye. This belongs to the family legacy of a man who devoted his life to controlling his own destiny and everything in it. However, the most pressing inquiry has not yet been resolved. To whom will this fortune actually pass? Hackman's 3 children have grown distant from him, leading some to question whether they will really receive a portion of his estate, even though his will has not been publicly disclosed. His second wife Betsy Arakawa may have been his legal heir, but the fact that she died at the same time as Hackman has further complicated matters. Is there going to be a struggle among Hackman's 3 children over the inheritance? On the other hand, will the mysterious GH legacy fund come to light and the fortune go to an unknown entity? Are there any legitimate reasons for Betsy's family to pursue legal action? Possible solutions might become apparent in the next few days. This inheritance battle, though, will take its sweet time to wind down. Legal battles, shocking revelations, and maybe long-hidden secrets about Gene Hackman could make this drag on for years, if not decades. Gene Hackman left behind more than just his wealth, though. He devoted himself to filmmaking for more than 40 years, during which time he brought complex, powerful, and gritty characters to life. Hackman was never one to pursue the spotlight. His character choices were multifaceted, occasionally harsh and bitter, but consistently incredibly authentic. Gene Hackman left an indelible mark on cinema with his portrayals of irate detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, sly villain Lex Luthor in Superman, and the merciless sheriff in Unforgiven. He was an exceptional artist in addition to being a superb actor. A man who isn't scared to leave the Hollywood system and forge his own path in life. Family members, attorneys, and interested parties are all waiting for the final verdict. Even though Hackman left Hollywood nearly 20 years ago, his name now appears on classic films and in legal papers. Who, exactly, is deserving of Gene Hackman's wealth? Whatever the length of time the dispute over his estate continues, one thing is certain. Gene Hackman's artistic legacy is indestructible and unquestionable. In your opinion, how was Gene Hackman's life and work? He died leaving behind an unforgettable filmography, but many questions about his last chapter remain unsolved. Was he responsible for these outcomes, or were invisible forces influencing events from the shadows? Leave a comment with your ideas. As we continue to bring you the most shocking stories involving Hollywood legends, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated. Your time here is much appreciated, and we will see you in our next video. Leave it.